At my daughter's college graduation, the woman who abandoned her at 7 years old handed her the keys to a $2 million lakefront condo. Then she smiled for the cameras and said, "You've finally become someone worthy of the Whitmore name." My daughter accepted the keys. I stood 20 feet away, holding a second-hand drafting compass and a card with $200 inside. For one terrible moment, I thought 20 years of being her father had just been defeated by a set of silver keys. Then the photographer asked me to step out of the real family picture. My daughter looked at the woman who had tracked us for 15 years without ever knocking on our door. She placed the condo keys on the podium, and she said, "Before we take that picture, tell everyone why you paid strangers to watch my dad struggle, but never once offered to help." My name is Samuel Reed. Most people call me Sam. I was 64 years old when the richest woman in Minnesota tried to purchase the right to rewrite my daughter's childhood. The ceremony took place inside the University of Minnesota's architecture building on a bright May afternoon. The walls were glass. The floors were polished concrete, and sunlight poured across display models made by students who still believed every problem could be solved with the right design. My daughter Leah had just graduated with a master's degree in architectural engineering. Her final project was a modular housing system for older adults and people with mobility limitations. The units used adjustable counters, wider doorways, removable ramps, and inexpensive materials that could be installed in rural homes without forcing families into debt. She had designed the first model after watching me struggle with my right knee. I had spent 34 years repairing city buses for Metro Transit in St. Paul. Crawling beneath engines and standing on concrete had worn the joint down until every staircase felt like a personal insult. Leah noticed everything. She always had. During her presentation, she showed a photograph of me standing beside our back porch before she rebuilt the steps. The caption read, "Good design should not require people to apologize for their bodies." The audience applauded. I stood before anyone else. "That's my daughter," I told the man beside me. He smiled. I guessed. I was wearing the navy suit I had bought for my retirement dinner 3 years earlier. It had become too large around the shoulders because I had lost weight after knee surgery. My tie was slightly crooked. My shoes had been polished, but the leather was cracked near the toes. In my inside jacket pocket was an envelope containing $200. That was not all I had brought. I also carried an old brass drafting compass. Sam had a small wooden box. The compass had belonged to my late wife, Ellen. She had been a middle school art teacher and could draw a perfect circle without using it. But she loved the instrument anyway. When Leah was 13 and announced that she wanted to design houses, Ellen had placed the compass in her hand and said, "Then learn how to make space for people who have never been considered." Ellen died before Leah started college. I had kept the compass in my bedroom drawer for 7 years, waiting for the right day. Graduation felt like that day. Then Celeste Whitmore entered the building. Even people who did not follow business news recognized her. Celeste was the founder and chief executive of Whitmore Communities, a national company that developed luxury retirement villages, private rehabilitation resorts, and high-end residential towers. Her face appeared in magazines. Her name was carved into university buildings. She had the kind of controlled elegance that made people lower their voices around her. She wore an ivory suit. 2 assistants walked behind her. A professional photographer walked beside them. Outside the glass entrance sat a black Mercedes with a white ribbon around the hood. I initially assumed she had come to present an award. Then she walked directly toward Leah. My daughter did not look surprised. That frightened me more than anything. A dean stepped behind the microphone. "Before we conclude today's reception, we have a special announcement from one of the university's most distinguished supporters. Celeste reached the podium. She spoke about innovation responsibility and the importance of investing in young leaders. Then she turned toward Leah. This exceptional young woman is not only one of the most promising designers I've encountered, she said, she is also my biological daughter. The room went silent. Someone near the entrance whispered, "What?" My fingers tightened around the envelope in my pocket. Celeste smiled at Leah. For many years, circumstances kept us apart. Circumstances. That word would become one of her favorite places to hide. But today she continued, I have the privilege of welcoming Leah into the life she was always meant to have. One of her assistants stepped forward carrying a silver box. Celeste opened it. Inside was a leather key case. These are the keys to a lakefront residence in Chicago, she said. A place where you can begin the next chapter of your life close to the Whitmore Foundation and the people who can help you reach your full potential. People raised their phones. The photographer moved closer. Celeste held out the keys. You have worked hard, she told Leah. You have proven that you are ready to carry the Whitmore name. Leah accepted them. My stomach dropped. I wish I could say I trusted her completely in that moment. I loved my daughter more than anything in the world. But love does not erase fear. Sometimes it gives fear more places to hurt you. I looked down at my worn shoes. I thought about the $200 inside my pocket. I thought about our one-story house in St. Paul, with the loose gutter old kitchen cabinets and furnace that made a knocking sound every January. I thought about the Mercedes outside, the lakefront condo, the foundation, the internship's travel connections, and money Celeste could offer without checking her bank balance first. And for one ugly second, I wondered whether Leah would look at the life I had given her and realize she had settled for too little. That was where our story arrived. But it began 20 years earlier, outside a grocery store, during the coldest January Minnesota had seen in a decade. I was 44 then. Ellen had been dead for 16 months. We had no children. We had wanted them. There had been appointments, treatments, one failed adoption attempt, and years of conversations that ended with both of us pretending we were less disappointed than we were. Eventually, we made peace with the life we had. Then cancer took Ellen before either of us reached 50. After she died, I worked every overtime shift the transit garage offered, not because I needed the money, because the house was unbearable when it was quiet. I would finish a 10-hour shift, sit in my truck outside the garage, and watch other men call their wives. Then I would drive home slowly. Sometimes I circled the neighborhood twice before pulling into the driveway. I kept the television on while I ate. I slept on the couch because the bedroom still smelled faintly like Ellen's lavender lotion. The night I met Leah, freezing rain had turned the streets silver. A bus had broken down near University Avenue, so I stayed late helping replace a fuel line. By the time I left the garage, it was almost 9. I stopped at a Cub Foods grocery store for canned soup, coffee, and pain reliever. That was when I saw her. A little girl stood near the cart, returned beneath a flickering light. She wore a red winter coat that was several sizes too large. The zipper was broken. A thin sweatshirt showed underneath. She held a stack of hand-drawn Christmas cards, even though Christmas had ended 3 weeks earlier. The cards were made from folded construction paper. One had a crooked green tree on the front. Another showed a snowman with 4 arms. She stepped toward a woman pushing groceries. $2. The girl said, I made them myself. The woman walked around her. The girl returned to the light. She did not beg. She did not complain. She simply waited for the next person. I watched 3 people ignore her. Then I walked over. You know Christmas is finished, right? She looked ready to run. I raised both hands. I'm not criticizing the inventory. I'm just wondering whether you offer New Year discounts. She studied my face. How many do you want? How many do you have? 7. What is the price for all 7? $14. Any discount. Number. Her answer came so quickly that I almost smiled. Strong business model. I handed her $20. She counted the bills. This is too much. Keep the change. I'm selling them. I'm not asking for money. I know. Then take another card. You only have 7. She pulled a crumpled piece of paper from her pocket and folded it in half. I can make one. The wind blew freezing rain beneath the awning. She was shivering. When did you eat last? Hasn't yet. I ate. What? Dinner. What kind? She looked toward the parking lot. The food kind. That is my favorite kind. She said nothing. The store had a small deli counter with hot chicken soup and coffee. I told her I was buying dinner and asked whether she wanted anything. Number. You can pay for your own food with the card money. Number. Then you can sit nearby and make sure I don't steal anything. That earned the smallest movement at the corner of her mouth. She followed me inside but remained several steps behind. At the deli, she chose chicken strips, potato wedges, and hot chocolate. When the food came, she ate slowly, too slowly. Children who trust food eat differently from children who do not know when they will see it again. Halfway through, she wrapped one chicken strip in a napkin, then another. She slipped both into her coat pocket. You saving those for later. When is later? She shrugged. What's your name? She hesitated. Leah. I'm Sam. She looked at my work jacket. You fix buses. How did you know? It says Metro Transit. Observant. You smell like gas. Less flattering, but also true. I asked where her parents were. Her shoulders tightened. I'm waiting for someone. Who? My aunt. What is her name? She stared at the table. I stepped away and quietly called the police. I thought she could not hear me. I was wrong. When I returned, the chair was empty. The automatic doors were closing. I ran outside. My knee was better then, but 44-year-old bus mechanics are not built for sprinting on ice. Leah made it across one lane of the parking lot before slipping. She fell scrambled up and continued running. Leah. She stopped beside a row of parked cars. Stay away from me. I stopped about 20 feet away. Freezing rain ran down my face. I'm not going to grab you. You called them. Yes. I'm not going back. Back where? She pressed herself against a truck. You don't understand. Probably not. They said the boy wouldn't bother me anymore. What a boy. She shook her head. They always say that. I stayed where I was. I'm not taking you anywhere, I told her. But I'm also not leaving an 8-year-old outside in this weather. I'm 10. You are a very small 10. She glared at me. 2 police cars arrived. A county child services worker came 40 minutes later. Her name was Janet Morales. She wore a wool coat over pajamas and looked like a woman who had received too many late-night calls. After speaking with Leah, Janet pulled me aside. She left a temporary room yesterday. Why? An older child had been stealing her food and locking her in a basement storage area. I looked toward Leah. She sat inside the warm police car, holding the paper bag with her remaining food. Where is her family? Her mother left her with a friend when she was 4. The friend eventually surrendered her to the county. Her father, unknown. What happens tonight? Emergency placement. And tomorrow, another placement if we can find one. Something in me tightened. Can she go somewhere safe? Janet gave me a tired look. That is always the goal. That is not what I asked. Number. Her honesty stayed with me. I did not take Leah home that night. Life is not a movie. A lonely widower cannot meet a frightened child outside a grocery store and decide she belongs to him before morning. But the next day I called Janet. She told me she could not provide details. I called again 3 days later, then again the following week. Finally, Janet explained what it would take for a single man with no parenting experience to become a licensed foster parent. Background checks, training classes, interviews, home inspections, financial records, references, a bedroom that met county requirements, months of waiting. I signed up. My brother told me I was grieving. My supervisor asked whether I understood how difficult foster care could be. A neighbor wondered whether a little girl would be comfortable with a single older man. I listened to everyone. Then I kept completing forms. It took 9 months. In October, Leah entered my house carrying a black trash bag containing everything she owned. She stood in the living room and looked toward the hallway. How long am I staying? As long as the county lets you. She frowned. That could be 1 day. Yes. Or 1 week. Yes. You don't know. Number. She seemed angry with me for telling the truth. Later, I understood why. Adults had promised her forever and delivered weekends. My honesty sounded like another rejection. For the first month, Leah slept in her clothes. Every morning, she placed her belongings back inside the trash bag. She hid granola bars under the mattress. She kept her shoes beside the bed. She refused to call the room hers. One night, she dropped a ceramic bowl. It shattered across the kitchen floor. Leah froze. Her face lost all color. She backed against the refrigerator with both hands raised slightly. "I'm sorry." I picked up the broom. It was an ugly bowl. "I didn't mean to. I believe you. I can clean it. Stay where you are. You don't have shoes on." Her eyes filled with panic. "How much was it?" "Maybe $8. I can pay." "With what?" She stared toward the hallway, as though someone might arrive to remove her. I swept the pieces into a dustpan. "That's it?" she asked. What else would happen? She sat on the floor. Then she began crying so hard she could barely breathe. I did not touch her. I sat on the other side of the kitchen and waited. After several minutes, she whispered, "They made me sleep in the basement when I broke things." "No one sleeps in our basement. You have a basement. It is full of tools, Christmas decorations, and one dead furnace." She laughed once through the tears. It was the first time I heard the sound. 2 years later, the adoption became final. Outside the courthouse, Leah held the new paperwork against her chest. "Can they still send me away?" "Not unless you become unbearable." Her face fell. I immediately added, "In that case, I will send you to your room." She stared at me. "That's not funny." It was slightly funny. She looked toward Janet, who was crying near the courthouse steps. Then she took my hand. "Can I call you Dad now?" I tried to answer. Nothing came out. Leah squeezed my fingers. "Dad, yes." That was the happiest word I had ever heard. I believed her biological mother had disappeared and never looked back. I was wrong. Celeste Whitmore knew Leah's address before the adoption was finalized. She knew which elementary school Leah attended. She knew when Leah needed to. She knew I took weekend shifts at the bus garage to pay the portion insurance did not cover. She knew Leah had been hospitalized with pneumonia at 12. She knew we moved Ellen's old art desk into Leah's room. She knew almost everything. For 15 years, Celeste paid a private investigator to send her reports. Then she stored those reports inside locked cabinets and never came to our door. Leah's childhood was not always dramatic. That was what made it beautiful. A home is rarely built through grand gestures. It is built through Tuesdays, burned pancakes, lost permission slips, arguments about bedtime, sitting in the parking lot after soccer practice, because a child is finally ready to tell you why she has been crying. When Leah was 10, she still hid food. I never confronted her. I simply kept the pantry full. One afternoon, I found 4 dinner rolls beneath her pillow. I replaced them with packaged crackers, so they would not attract ants. She noticed. Neither of us mentioned it. At 11, she wanted to join a school art club, but refused to let me pay the fee. "I'll earn it." "You are 11. I can rake leaves. It is February. I can shovel snow. You weigh 70 pounds. She folded her arms. "I'm not a charity case." I understood then that accepting help still felt dangerous, so I made her an offer. She could help me clean the garage for 3 Saturdays. In exchange, I would pay the art fee. The garage did not need 3 Saturdays of cleaning. We made the arrangement anyway. At 13, Leah was suspended for shoving a girl into a locker. The girl had found out Leah was adopted and said, "At least my real mother wanted me." When I picked Leah up, her face was hard. She deserved it. "Number. You didn't hear her." "I heard enough. So I'm supposed to let people say whatever they want." "No. You answer with words or you walk away." "That's weak. It takes more strength to control your hands than to use them." She stared out the truck window. "You're not even angry at her." "I'm furious." "You don't look furious." That is what control looks like. She did not speak during the ride home. I stopped at a diner. She looked at the sign. I'm suspended. Suspended people still need lunch. Over grilled cheese and tomato soup. I said, you are allowed to hate what happened to you. You are not allowed to become someone who hurts others because you were hurt first. She pushed a cracker around her plate. I hate when you talk like a guidance counselor. I repair diesel engines. Engines are easier than people. Much easier. She apologized to the girl the next day. She did not forgive her. I did not require that. Forgiveness and accountability were different lessons. At 14, Leah found Ellen's drafting compass in my desk. What is this? It belonged to my wife. She knew about Ellen. Our house did not treat the dead like competition. Photographs of Ellen remained in the hallway. Stories about her were told naturally. Leah knew Ellen had taught Art hated mushrooms and sang off-key while painting walls. Why does a teacher need this? Leah asked. She liked drawing circles. That's weird. She was weird. Do you miss her? Every day. Leah looked at the compass. Do you wish she were my mom? The question caught me unprepared. I wish she had met you. That's not what I asked. No, I said. I don't wish you were someone else's child. I wish both of you had been part of my life at the same time. She nodded as if evaluating the answer. Then she put the compass back. By high school, Leah loved mathematics, drafting, and design. She spent hours rearranging our living room on graph paper. She complained that most buildings were designed for healthy 30-year-old men carrying nothing. What about old people? She asked. I am not old. You make a noise every time you stand up. That is a mechanical warning system. She designed a ramp for our back porch after my knee began worsening. The first version was too steep. The second blocked the basement window. The third worked. I used it for years. When Leah was accepted into the University of Minnesota's architecture program, she ran through the front door holding the letter. I got in. I stood from the kitchen table too quickly and nearly knocked over my coffee. You're sure? She hit me with the envelope. Read it. The scholarship covered tuition. It did not cover housing supplies, computer software studio fees, or the expensive model-making materials. Architecture students consumed like firewood. I told her we would manage. She told me not to sell anything. I sold my motorcycle. It was a 1978 Honda Goldwing that Ellen and I had taken around Lake Superior the summer before she became ill. After her death, it sat beneath a cover in the garage. I started it every spring. I rarely rode it. Still watching another man loaded onto a trailer felt like watching a part of my marriage leave the driveway. Leah came home that weekend. She saw the empty space immediately. Where's the motorcycle? Sold. Her expression changed. Why? I wasn't using it. You started it every month. The battery needed maintenance. Dad, you needed a computer. I told you not to sell anything. It was mine to sell. It was Ellen's too. That stopped me. Leah rarely used Ellen's name when she was angry. I looked toward the garage. I know. You don't have to keep losing pieces of your life for me. I'm not losing them. That motorcycle mattered. So do you. She wiped her eyes with the heel of her hand. That isn't fair. What isn't? You say things like that. And then I can't stay angry. It is a useful parenting strategy. She threw a rag at me. College made Leah more independent. That was what I had raised her to become. It was also more painful than I expected. She stopped calling every evening. She made friends I knew only through photographs. She dated someone for 6 months before telling me. She made decisions without asking. Sometimes I learned about major events after they happened. I told myself that was success. A child who feels safe enough to leave home has been given to something valuable. At the same time, my body began wearing out. My tita required surgery. 2 fingers on my right hand went numb after years of handling tools. I began writing reminders on the refrigerator. Medication, appointments, turn off garage heater, call Leah Sunday. Leah worried. I minimized everything. She accused me of hiding pain. I told her I was protecting her. She told me protection without consent was another form of control. I hated when she sounded like me. During her final year, Leah designed the modular accessible home system that would eventually win the university's Social Impact Design Award. 3 weeks before graduation, she received an email from a woman named Marjorie Wells. Marjorie had worked as Celeste Whitmore's executive assistant for nearly 30 years. She had recently retired. Celeste's mother, Eleanor Whitmore, had died the previous winter. Before her death, Eleanor left instructions that a sealed box be delivered to Leah if Celeste had not contacted her honestly by age 27. Leah was 27. The box contained letters, photographs, and 15 years of private investigator reports. Leah learned that Celeste had known exactly where she lived. The first report was dated 6 months after she entered my home. Subject placed with foster parent Samuel Reed. The next report documented the adoption. Another noted that Leah had received orthodontic treatment and that I had increased my weekend shifts. Another described Ellen's illness. Celeste knew when Ellen died. She knew Leah stood beside me at the funeral. She knew our household income dropped after I reduced my hours to care for Ellen. She knew. She did nothing. The box also contained letters from Eleanor Whitmore. Leah's biological grandmother had argued with Celeste for years. She urged her daughter to contact Leah. Celeste refused. Sometimes she claimed contact would destabilize Leah. Sometimes she said the timing was wrong. Sometimes she worried that acknowledging an abandoned child would harm the Whitmore company. In one letter, Eleanor wrote, "You are not protecting the child. You are protecting the woman you want the world to believe you are." Leah read everything alone. She did not call me. That hurt when I learned it, but I later understood. She did not hide the truth because she trusted me less. She hid it because she knew I would immediately place her pain on my own shoulders. She needed time to decide what she wanted before I started trying to save her. Celeste contacted her 4 days later. Not directly. A public relations executive called first, then an assistant, then Celeste herself. She invited Leah to lunch at a private club in Minneapolis. Leah went. Celeste cried. She said she had been young and frightened. She said Leah's biological father came from a powerful family that threatened to destroy her career. She said leaving Leah with a friend had been intended as temporary. She said too much time passed. She said she received reports only to make sure Leah was safe. Then she offered Leah a position with the Whitmore Foundation, an apartment in Chicago, a wardrobe allowance, a car, professional media training, a chance to reconnect with her heritage. Leah asked what Celeste wanted in return. Celeste said nothing. 2 days later, her assistant sent a statement. It described Leah's childhood as a private family separation caused by legal and emotional complications. It said Celeste had made continuous efforts to protect and support Leah from a distance. It referred to me as Leah's foster guardian, not father, not adoptive father, foster guardian. The statement ended by announcing that Leah and Celeste were joyfully rebuilding their relationship. Celeste wanted Leah to approve it before graduation. She also wanted the reunion filmed. Leah did not agree. She did not refuse. She waited. At the graduation reception, Celeste believed the expensive gift and public attention would make refusal impossible. That was why the photographer was there. That was why reporters had been invited. That was why the keys were handed over. Before the statement was mentioned. After Leah accepted the key case, one of Celeste's assistants brought forward a cream-colored folder. "There is one small thing," Celeste said. Her smile remained bright. "Nothing difficult. Just a statement allowing our family to move forward without outside misunderstandings." Leah opened the folder. The room was still full of guests. Faculty members stood near tables of sandwiches and lemonade. Parents held flowers. Students took photographs. Celeste had designed the moment so any hesitation would make Leah appear ungrateful. The assistant offered a pen. Leah did not take it. "What does the statement say?" she asked. Celeste's smile tightened. "It explains that our separation was complicated, and that I always remained concerned for your well-being. Did you? Of course. Did you know where I lived? Celeste glanced toward the photographer. We can discuss details privately. You made the reunion public. A few people lowered their phones. The atmosphere changed. Celeste stepped closer. I understand this is emotional. Leah opened the folder. This says you made continuous efforts to locate and support me. I did. How did you support me? I made sure you were safe. How? Through appropriate channels. What channels? Celeste's expression hardened slightly. Leah, this is not the place. Then why did you bring a photographer? No one moved. The assistant slowly lowered the pen. Leah reached inside the pocket of her graduation gown and removed a folded report. She opened it. November 2010, she read. Subject remains with Samuel Reed. Mr. Reed has accepted additional weekend shifts at Metro Transit. Orthodontic costs may be creating financial strain. My stomach turned. I remembered those weekends. I left home before sunrise. I told Leah overtime was relaxing. Celeste's face lost color. Leah read another section. April 2013. Samuel Reed's wife has entered hospice care. Leah Reed has missed 4 days of school. No immediate safety concerns. My vision blurred. Somewhere someone had watched us carry Ellen's hospital equipment into the house. Someone had written it down. Celeste had read the report. She knew Ellen was dying. She knew a 14-year-old adopted girl was about to lose the only mother figure she remembered. She did not call. Leah lowered the page. You knew Ellen was dying. Celeste glanced toward me. For the first time, she truly saw me. Not as an older man in a loose suit. Not as background. As the person who had lived every day, she observed from a distance. I was advised that contact could be disruptive, Celeste said. For 15 years, Leah asked. There were factors you do not understand. Then explain them. Celeste folded her hands. Your biological father was married when you were born. A whisper moved through the room. He denied being your father. She continued. His family threatened litigation. My company was just beginning. I had employees depending on me. I was frightened. Leah nodded slowly. I understand being frightened once. Celeste looked relieved. Then Leah continued. But you weren't frightened for one night. You were frightened for 15 years. The relief disappeared. You watched Dad work weekends. Celeste glanced at me again. You watched him care for Ellen while raising me. I did not watch personally. You paid someone else to do it. I needed to know you were safe. You knew I was safe because he made me safe. Celeste's voice softened. I never stopped loving you. Leah looked down at the condo keys in her hand. Watching is not parenting. The words were quiet. They still filled the room. Celeste took another step toward her. I cannot change the past. But I can give you a future. Leah looked up. I already have one. Celeste's jaw tightened. The Whitmore Foundation could give you opportunities Samuel could never provide. There it was. Not gratitude, not regret. Competition. I felt the sentence inside my chest. It said aloud the fear I had been trying not to admit. Celeste could provide things I never could. Money, connections, a prestigious name, rooms where I would never know which fork to use. Leah turned toward me. For 1 second, neither of us spoke. Then the photographer raised his camera. Could we get the family together? He asked nervously. Celeste recovered. Yes. She gestured toward Leah, then toward a young man standing near the rear wall. This is my son Preston, Leah's half-brother. Preston wore a charcoal suit and an expensive watch. He gave Leah a nod. Celeste moved toward the glass wall where the light was better. I stepped forward instinctively. The photographer looked at me. Sir, could we first get one with the biological family? The words landed harder than I expected. I stopped. Celeste did not correct him. Preston looked uncomfortable, but said nothing. I stepped backward. Then Leah spoke. Number. The photographer lowered the camera. Leah walked toward me. She took my hand and brought me beside her. This is my father. Celeste's expression tightened. No one is denying Samuel's role. His role. I'm trying to be respectful. Leah faced the room. He found me outside a grocery store selling construction paper cards because I was hungry. Celeste closed her eyes briefly. He spent 9 months becoming a foster parent because I was afraid to go back. Leah. He slept in a hospital chair when I had pneumonia. The room remained silent. He learned geometry at 50 because I was embarrassed to tell my teacher I was lost. My throat tightened. He sold the motorcycle he restored with Ellen so I could buy a computer. Leah, I whispered. She shook her head. You never made me earn being your daughter. Then she faced Celeste. You said I proved I was worthy of coming home. Celeste's eyes filled. That was not how I meant it. It was exactly how you meant it. Leah held up the keys. You returned after I won an award. I returned because I was finally free to. You have been free for 15 years. Celeste looked towards the reporters. This conversation is being misunderstood. No, Leah said. It is finally being heard. She placed the keys on the podium. If the condo is truly a gift with no conditions, transfer it to North Star Bridge. Celeste stared at her. What? North Star Bridge provides temporary housing for young women aging out of foster care. This condo is worth nearly $2 million. I know. It was meant for you. I have a home. Celeste looked toward me. A one-story house with a failing roof is not the future she deserves. The cruelty slipped out before she could stop it. Several people gasped softly. I felt heat rise into my face. Leah did not look ashamed. She looked furious. That house is where someone stayed, she said. Celeste's voice dropped. You would give away your future to make a point. Number. Leah tapped the key case. I would use your gift to give other girls what you refuse to give me. Celeste's face went still. And if the gift disappears because I won't approve your statement, then it was never a gift. The room waited. Celeste looked at her assistants, then at the cameras. She had created a public ceremony to trap Leah into saying yes. Now that same audience trapped Celeste into revealing whether the offer had ever been sincere. Finally, she said, The residence will be transferred as promised. Leah nodded. Good. She turned toward the photographer. You can take the family picture now. Then she put one arm around me. The photographer hesitated. Celeste stood several feet away. Preston looked toward his mother. No one knew where to stand. Leah solved the problem. Just us, she said. The photographer raised the camera. The flash went off. In the photograph, Leah is still wearing her cap and gown. Her hand is wrapped around my arm. I am holding the small wooden box containing Ellen's compass. Behind us, Celeste stands near the podium with the unsigned statement and the abandoned key case. The picture traveled across the internet within hours, but the moment I remember most happened in the parking garage. Leah and I walked toward my 12-year-old Chevrolet pickup. The truck had rust near one rear wheel and a passenger window that made a whistling sound above 60 miles per hour. Neither of us spoke. I unlocked the doors. Leah placed her graduation cap on the dashboard. I started the engine. For 10 minutes, we drove through Minneapolis traffic in silence. Families leaned from cars waving graduation signs. Students posed near street corners. People honked. It should have been one of the happiest afternoons of my life. Instead, I kept seeing Leah accept the keys. Finally, I said, How long have you known? 3 weeks. Why didn't you tell me? She looked out the window. I needed time. You carried that alone for 3 weeks. I had Marjorie. She's a stranger. She didn't panic. I looked at her. Leah closed her eyes. That came out wrong. No. It came out honest. Dad, I'm not angry that you wanted time. You sound angry. I'm angry that she knew about Ellen. So am I. I'm angry that someone watched us. So am I. I'm angry that you thought you had to protect me from it. You hide your medical appointments. That is different. How? Because I'm your father. That isn't an answer. We stopped at a red light. Leah removed her cap and placed it on the floor. You think everything painful belongs to you? She said. Even my pain. That's what parents do. No. That is what you do. The light changed. The driver behind us honked. I pulled forward. After several minutes, I said I saw you take the keys. Leah turned. What? At the ceremony. I know. For 1 second, I thought you were going with her. Her face changed. You thought I would leave? I didn't know. After everything. It wasn't about trusting you. It sounds exactly like that. I tightened my hands around the steering wheel. I'm 64. My knee barely made it across that building. I forget whether I took my medication. I have a leaking roof and $200 in my pocket. Leah stared at me. She appeared with a condo, a Mercedes, a foundation, and a life where you would never have to worry about money again. My voice broke. I thought you might look at what she could give you and realize you had spent 20 years calling less enough. Leah remained quiet. The silence made me regret every word. Then she said, "Pull over." I drove into a small park beside the Mississippi River. We sat inside the truck with the engine running. Leah turned toward me. "You gave me less money." I looked down. "You gave me less space." I frowned. "You gave me fewer vacations." Leah, "You gave me one bathroom, a used bicycle, burned grilled cheese, and a father who pretends he doesn't limp when I'm watching." I looked toward the windshield. She continued, "She can give me everything except the one thing I needed when I was 7. What? Someone who came back." My eyes filled. "She is not competing with you," Leah said. "She is competing with every day she chose not to be there." She placed her hand over mine, and she already lost. For several minutes, neither of us spoke. Then I remembered the envelope. I reached into my jacket and handed it to her. "What is this?" "Your graduation gift." "Dad, open it." She removed the card. Inside was the $200 in a note. "For whatever you build next." She looked at the money. "This is too much. It is not $2 million. She stared at me. "Do not do that." "Do what?" "Make this small." I looked away. She opened the wooden box. When she saw Ellen's drafting compass, her face crumpled. "You kept it. For you." Leah ran her thumb over the worn brass. I said Ellen once told me, "Good design begins when someone notices who has been left out." Leah cried then, not dramatically. She simply lowered her head and held the compass. "This is the first thing anyone gave me today, without asking me to become someone else." I could not answer. She reached across the console and hugged me carefully. We stayed beside the river until my knee stopped hurting enough to drive. For 2 days, I believed the worst was over. Then the video spread. A student had recorded the graduation confrontation. By Monday morning, local news stations were using clips. By Wednesday, national websites were running headlines. "Abandoned daughter rejects billionaire mother's conditions. Foster child turns luxury condo into transitional housing. Who is Leah Reed's real family?" People praised Leah. Others attacked her. Some called her brave. Some called her ungrateful. One man wrote that I had poisoned her against her real mother. I read that comment too many times. Celeste released a public statement. She said she had attempted a loving reunion and had been ambushed by people with financial and political motives. She claimed the investigator reports proved she had always cared. She said painful family matters had been stripped of context. She did not mention the 15 birthdays without a card. She did not mention Ellen. She did not mention calling me a foster guardian. Her company's social media accounts posted old photographs of Celeste volunteering with children. The captions spoke about second chances. Leah refused interviews. She began working for a Minneapolis nonprofit that designed affordable housing. The condo transfer took several months, but Celeste completed it. She had promised in front of cameras. Backing out would have revealed too much. North Star Bridge sold the residence and used the proceeds to purchase 2 smaller buildings near public transportation. The first housed 12 young women aging out of foster care. The second offered temporary apartments for young mothers, completing college or trade programs. Leah helped redesign both. She insisted every resident receive a room with a lock, a kitchen shelf that belonged only to them, and storage that did not require a trash bag. Why the kitchen shelf, I asked. She looked at me. You know why? I did. Celeste continued contacting her. Flowers arrived at Leah's office. Then expensive clothes. Then invitations. Leah returned everything. Celeste sent text messages. I know I made mistakes. You cannot understand the pressure I faced. You are allowing strangers to control the story. The Whitmore Foundation could magnify your work. You do not have to choose between us. That last sentence angered Leah most. Celeste had created the choice, then accused Leah of making it. 6 months after graduation, Celeste asked for one private dinner. No cameras, no assistants, no documents. Leah considered refusing. Then Celeste mentioned Preston. Leah had met her half-brother for less than a minute at graduation. He was 31 and managed investments for the Whitmore family. He sent Leah a separate message. I know Mom handled this terribly. I would still like to meet my sister without a podium between us. Leah asked whether I would attend. I said no. She looked surprised. You don't trust her. I don't. Then come. This is your decision. I want you there. Celeste will think I am controlling you. Do you care what she thinks? Yes. Leah stared at me. I sighed. I know I shouldn't. Then come. The dinner was scheduled for Thanksgiving at Celeste's estate, near Lake Minnetonka. I nearly refused when I learned the date. Thanksgiving carries too much emotional pressure. People tolerate things on holidays they would reject on an ordinary Tuesday, because no one wants to be accused of ruining the family memory. Celeste promised it would be small. Only her, Preston, her sister Diane, Leah, and me. When we arrived, 12 cars filled the circular driveway. A photographer stood near the entrance. Leah looked at me. I thought she said private. She did. The front door opened. Celeste walked toward us wearing a burgundy dress. She hugged Leah before asking permission. Then she held out one hand to me. Samuel, Celeste, I hope we can begin again. I hope we can eat. Her smile tightened. Inside, at least 30 people moved through rooms decorated with white flowers and gold candles. Members of the Whitmore family. Foundation board members. 2 local politicians. A magazine writer. Several people Leah had never met. Large photographs covered a wall near the dining room. Celeste as a young executive. Celeste with Preston. The Whitmore family at vacation homes. A framed newspaper article about Celeste's philanthropic work. Near the end of the wall was a newly printed photograph from graduation. It showed Celeste handing Leah the condo keys. I had been cropped out. Leah noticed. She said nothing. A woman approached us carrying a tablet. I'm coordinating tonight's family portrait. Leah looked at Celeste. You said no photographer. This is only for us. There are 30 people here. They are close friends. The magazine writer is a close friend. Celeste lowered her voice. I cannot cancel Thanksgiving because our family is experiencing tension. You invited us under false conditions. I was afraid you wouldn't come. That should have told you something. Preston approached. He hugged Leah awkwardly. Then he shook my hand. I'm glad you came. Are you? He looked uncomfortable. I asked Mom not to make tonight into an event. Did she listen? Number. His honesty surprised me. At dinner, Celeste seated Leah beside her. Preston sat on Leah's other side. I was placed near the far end of the table between a foundation accountant and a man who spent 20 minutes explaining private aviation. My name card said, Samuel Reed, family friend. I stared at it. Leah saw it from across the table. She stood. What are you doing? Celeste asked. Leah picked up my place card. He is not a family friend. The seating coordinator made a mistake. The coordinator wrote what someone gave her. Celeste glanced toward the guests. Please sit down. Leah carried my place card to the empty chair beside her. She moved Celeste's sister's card to the other end. Diane looked offended. Leah did not care. Dad sits here. The room had grown quiet. Celeste smiled tightly. Of course. Dinner began. The food was beautiful. The conversation was not. People asked Leah about her design work. Then they redirected every answer toward the Whitmore Foundation. A board member said, "With your family resources, imagine what you could accomplish." Leah replied, "I was accomplishing it before the resources arrived." An older relative asked whether she intended to change her last name. Number. Not even professionally. Number. Reed is very common. That is one reason I like it. The man beside me laughed. No one else did. Halfway through dinner, Celeste stood. "I would like to say something." Leah placed her fork down. Celeste spoke about healing. She spoke about forgiveness. She spoke about the importance of refusing to let past pain steal future joy. Then she announced that Leah had been offered a leadership position with the Whitmore Foundation. Applause began. Leah did not join it. Celeste continued, "We hope Leah will help us launch a national housing initiative carrying the Whitmore name." She gestured toward a screen. A logo appeared. The Whitmore Reed Home Initiative. My last name had been attached to a project I knew nothing about. Leah stared at the screen. "You used my name. We wanted to honor both parts of your story." "Did you ask?" "It was meant as a surprise. You keep confusing surprise with consent." The room became still. Celeste lowered her voice. "We can discuss details later." Number. Leah. "You announced my relationship at graduation. You announced a job tonight. You invited a writer after promising privacy. I'm trying to include you. You are trying to display me." Celeste's face hardened. "You are allowing your anger to destroy opportunities." Leah looked toward me, then back at Celeste. "What opportunity? To build something larger than yourself. I'm already doing that. With a small non-profit. With people who needed help before they became useful to us." The sentence landed. Celeste gripped the back of her chair. Preston whispered, "Mom, stop." She ignored him. "I have apologized." "No." "You explained. I cannot undo 15 years. Number. So what do you expect from me?" "Honesty. I have been honest. You called Dad my foster guardian. That was legal terminology." "No." It was emotional distance. Celeste looked toward me. "Samuel has been rewarded with your loyalty." The sentence confused the room. It did not confuse me. She believed love was a prize someone won. Leah's face changed. "Rewarded. He had the years I lost. He did not take them from you. I know that." "Do you?" Celeste's voice. "I was 28 years old. I had no support. Your biological father's family threatened me. I built an entire company from nothing. And Dad was a grieving mechanic with no parenting experience. This is not a comparison. You keep making it one." Aunt Diane spoke from the far end. "Perhaps everyone should calm down." Leah looked at her. "Did you know about me?" Diane went still. Leah. "Did you?" Celeste said. "That is not relevant." Diane looked at her sister. Then at Leah. "Yes." The answer moved through the table. "How long?" Leah asked. Diane lowered her eyes. "Since you were 5. Leah stopped breathing for a second. I touched her hand. She did not pull away. "You knew where I was." I knew Celeste had arranged for reports. "Did you ever tell her to contact me?" Diane's eyes filled. "Many times." "What did she say?" "That you were stable. That appearing suddenly might harm you." Leah laughed once. There was no humor in it. Everyone in that family had helped turn cowardice into concern. Celeste whispered, "I was trying to protect what was best for you." Leah stood. "You did not know what was best for me, because you never knew me." She looked around the table. "You know my degree. You know the award. You know the project that appeared in the news." She pointed toward me. "He knows I cannot sleep when the closet door is open." My throat tightened. "He knows I hate grape jelly. He knows I keep crackers in my purse, even when I'm not hungry." Celeste looked down. "He knows I still pack a bag before important trips, because part of me expects someone to move me while I'm gone." No one spoke. "That is knowing me." She picked up her coat. Celeste's voice became desperate. "You are walking away from your own family." Leah turned. "No. I'm walking away with him." Celeste looked toward me. "You are encouraging this." I stood slowly. My knee protested. I encouraged her to come. "She listens to you. She makes her own decisions. You enjoy being the one she chooses. That accusation struck closer than she knew. Part of me did enjoy it. Part of me wanted Leah to reject every luxury and declare that my love had been enough. But a child's loyalty is not proof of a parent's worth. I looked at Leah. You can stay if you want. Her face softened. Dad, I mean it. Celeste says to the burning. Leah, you do not have to leave because Samuel is uncomfortable. Leah stared at her. He was placed at the end of the table and labeled a family friend. It was a mistake. You cropped him out of the graduation picture. The photograph focused on our reunion. You announced my job without asking. I was proud. You lied about this dinner. I was afraid. Leah nodded. There is always a word that makes your choice sound less selfish. Celeste's eyes filled. What do you want me to do? Stop making me responsible for the mother you wish you had been. Then Leah took my arm. We left. The photographer near the foyer raised his camera. Leah stopped. Take one. Celeste appeared behind us. For a moment, hope crossed her face. Leah handed the photographer her phone. She stood beside me beneath the Whitmore family wall. In the photograph, Celeste's polished history stretches behind us. I am wearing an old suit. Leah is holding my arm. Neither of us is smiling. She later posted the picture with one sentence. Family is not the person who claims your success. It is the person who survives your beginning with you. The photograph was shared thousands of times. Celeste did not contact Leah for 4 months. Then a handwritten letter arrived. It was 12 pages long. Celeste described her fear, her childhood, the pressure of building her company, the threats from Leah's biological father's family, the humiliation of being exposed publicly, the pain of watching Leah leave Thanksgiving with me. She said she had made terrible mistakes. She said she loved Leah. The final paragraph asked Leah to reconsider the foundation position. Leah placed the letter on our kitchen table. What do you think she asked? What do you think? I asked first. I think she is sorry she lost control. Do you think she loves me? Yes. Leah looked surprised. You do? I think people can love someone and still treat them badly. That sounds depressing. It is. So love doesn't matter. It matters. I folded the letter. It just isn't always enough to make a relationship safe. Leah did not answer Celeste. Instead, she began therapy. That decision mattered more than any public speech. For years, Leah had treated independence like armor. She believed needing people gave them the power to leave. Therapy taught her that boundaries were not walls around abandonment. They were doors she controlled. The North Star Bridge residences opened the following summer. 12 young women moved into the first building. Leah placed welcome baskets in every room, toiletries, bus cards, a grocery store gift certificate, a small lockbox, a handwritten note. You do not have to earn the right to stay here tonight. I helped assemble furniture. My knee allowed me to work for 20 minutes at a time. Leah ordered me to sit down. I was repairing buses before you were born. You also walked into a cabinet yesterday. The cabinet moved. It was attached to the wall. Poor design. She rolled her eyes. One resident named Tasha noticed the drafting compass hanging in Leah's office. What is that? She asked. It belonged to my dad's wife. You mean your mom? Leah looked toward me. Then she said one of them. I had to look away. The following year, Leah accepted a permanent position directing accessible housing projects for the non-profit. She did not join the Whitmore Foundation. She did not move to Chicago. She did use part of the money Eleanor Whitmore had privately set aside for her, not to change her life into Celeste's version of success. She used it to expand North Star Bridge and establish scholarships for students who had experienced foster care. She also paid off the mortgage on my house. I argued to you for a week. You cannot do that. It is already done. I did not raise you so you could pay my bills. Number. She smiled. You raised me so I would know what a stable home can do. That is manipulation. I learned from the best. 6 months later, she drove me to a dealership outside Duluth. In the parking lot stood a used touring motorcycle. not the same model I had sold. Nothing could replace that, but it was comfortable, reliable, and modified to be easier on my knee. Leah held out the keys. Number. Yes. I'm 65. You told me age was an attitude. I lied. You sold yours for my future. That was my choice. This is mine. I looked at the motorcycle. I don't need it. She shrugged. Neither did you need to work Sundays for braces. I took the keys. We spent the first ride traveling along the north shore of Lake Superior. Leah followed in her car because she did not trust my knee. At a lookout near Split Rock, she asked me to stand beside the motorcycle for a photograph. I shook my head. Take one beside the truck. The truck is ugly. It carried you to college. That is emotionally manipulative. Again, you learned from the best. We took both photographs. They hang beside each other in my living room. One shows the motorcycle. The other shows my old Chevrolet pickup. People usually prefer the motorcycle picture. I prefer the truck. The motorcycle represents what Leah could give me after she became successful. The truck reminds me of all the years when neither of us had much, except the decision to keep going home together. Celeste sent birthday cards. Leah returned the first two unopened. She kept the third. She did not answer it. Another year passed before they spoke again. The conversation happened at a quiet diner in St. Paul. Celeste came alone. No assistant. No photographer. No gift. Leah asked me to sit at a different table, close enough if she needed me, far enough that the conversation belonged to her. Celeste arrived wearing jeans and a navy sweater. Without the ivory suits and cameras, she looked older, human. She sat across from Leah. For several minutes, they said nothing. Then Celeste spoke. I kept trying to find the version of an apology that would make you forgive me. Leah waited. There isn't one, Celeste continued, because every version still asked you to do something for me. What do you want now? To say the truth without asking for anything afterward. Leah folded her hands. Celeste looked down. I abandoned you. No circumstances. No complicated separation. No mention of pressure. I knew where you were, she said. I knew Samuel was working extra shifts. I knew Ellen was sick. I told myself contact might disrupt your life. She swallowed. The truth is, your safe life allowed me to avoid seeing the damage I caused. Leah's eyes filled. Celeste continued. When your work became public, I panicked. I thought the world would discover you before I had a chance to control the story. So you came back. Yes, because you missed me. Number. The honesty seemed to hurt Celeste physically. I came back because I was afraid of being exposed. Leah said nothing. The condo, the foundation, the statement, none of it was about what you needed. A tear moved down Celeste's cheek. It was about making me look like a mother without requiring me to have been one. They sat in silence. Then Leah said, I believe you're sorry. Hope appeared on Celeste's face. Leah continued, but I don't trust you. The hope faded. Celeste nodded. That is fair. If there is any relationship, it happens slowly. Yes. No gifts. Yes. No surprise visits. Yes. You don't use my name for the foundation. I won't. You never called Dad my foster guardian again. Celeste glanced toward me. I won't. You do not tell anyone we have reconciled. I understand. And if you lie about what happened, even once I'm done. Celeste did not hesitate. I accept that. When the conversation ended, they did not hug. Leah did not call her mom. Celeste did not ask when they would meet again. She simply paid for her coffee and left her phone number on a napkin. Leah placed it inside her wallet. Sometimes forgiveness is not reopening the door. Sometimes it is looking through the window and deciding whether the person outside has finally stopped demanding to be let in. Leah and Celeste eventually spoke a few times a year. Their relationship never became the reunion Celeste once tried to manufacture. There were no matching holiday photographs, no public mother-daughter interviews, no triumphant announcements. There were awkward lunches, careful phone calls. One birthday card Leah answered with a text. That was all. It was enough because Leah chose it. Preston became part of her life more easily. He admitted he had known about her for 4 years before graduation. At first, he believed Celeste's story, that contact would create chaos. Later, he became afraid of confronting his mother. Leah told him fear explained his silence but did not erase it. He accepted that. They began to meeting for coffee. He volunteered at North Star Bridge. The first time he tried to donate an expensive van, Leah made him spend an afternoon listening to residents before writing a check. "You don't get to solve people before knowing them," she told him. He smiled. "You sound like Sam." "She was raised correctly," I said. Leah groaned. Years passed. My knee was eventually replaced. My memory remained imperfect but ordinary. I kept the refrigerator list. Leah continued calling every Sunday. Sometimes she forgot. Sometimes I forgot. Neither of us treated a missed call like abandonment anymore. On the 20th anniversary of the night, I found her outside the grocery store. Leah came to my house carrying a small frame. Inside was one of the construction paper Christmas cards she had tried to sell. A green tree leaned sideways across the front. The glitter had faded. "You kept one?" she asked. "I bought 7. I thought you threw them away. I am a government employee." "We keep everything." She sat beside me on the couch. On the back of the card she had written, "You bought the card. Then you stayed for the rest of the story." I looked at her. "You were worth more than $2. I charged $2. Terrible business model." She laughed. Then she rested her head against my shoulder. At 64, I had feared that Celeste's money would make me unnecessary. I thought aging meant becoming the smaller life my daughter might eventually outgrow. Leah taught me something different. A child may stop needing you to pay her bills. She may stop asking your permission. She may enter rooms you could never have opened for her. She may build a future larger than anything you imagined. That does not erase where home was created. Blood can explain how a child enters the world. Money can change what doors open next. Neither one can replace the person who answered. When the child asked, "How long can I stay?" Celeste gave Leah. I do not deny that, but parenting was every ordinary day that came afterward. The broken bowl, the hidden food, the geometry homework, the suspension, the hospital chair, the sold motorcycle, the missed calls, the graduation envelope, the long drive home in an old truck, the decision to keep showing up even when no one was taking photographs. That is what made us family. Not perfection, not sacrifice that needed applause. Presence. My daughter did not reject wealth because poverty was more noble. She rejected the idea that comfort could purchase a false history. She accepted help when it came without control. She created distance when love became manipulation. And she taught me that setting a boundary with someone who shares your blood is not an act of cruelty. Sometimes it is the only way to stop their choices from becoming your identity. So tell me honestly, if the biological parent who abandoned you returned only after you became successful, but offered you money, opportunity, and a carefully controlled place in their family, would you give them a second chance? Or would 15 years of watching from a distance prove that some doors should remain closed, no matter how expensive the gift waiting outside?